I think what makes a great instructor is your ability to focus in and hone in on everybody in the room and make sure that not only can your star athlete hit a nice berimbolo off of a leg lock, but I want that guy from a desk job to be able to do that same thing just as effective. Everybody's a different learner. Figuring that out, how to coach people. They say some schools, they'll be like, oh, that guy's not for you. And it's true. Some schools aren't for certain people. And that's just the environment, I would say. But I try to watch my students and see what they're good at, see what they're not good at. And my job is to make them a better jiu-jitsu practitioner. And I think it's just your ability to just make sure not only are you individually making sure everybody's growing, but at the same time, everybody in the room is growing with that person.
Alex, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate being here.
I discovered you. I saw your IG account and something came out. I think it was a Fanatics promotion for your instructional, but I was blown away by not only like your delivery in terms of instruction and everything, but your jiu-jitsu itself, man. I'm thinking, wow, his jiu-jitsu is really beautiful. It's awesome to watch, or it's highly technical, or it's surgical in a way. And all these sort of, descriptors were going through my head when I was watching your stuff.
I appreciate that. I'm not the biggest guy. The college years, even though I didn't go, but my college years, I was probably like in the 200s. And once I started jiu-jitsu, I lost all that weight, and I was super bloated. And I got down to like I'm walking around 155 right now. So I'd say my jiu-jitsu, it has to be pretty technical, especially in the room that I'm in right now. So pretty strong and big there. So
And you're brown belt under who?
under Shawn Melanson.
So you and Shawn, I believe, are the head coaches of what's called Precision Jiu-Jitsu in Hudson, New Hampshire, correct?
Correct. Yes, we both run the school together. We're both the leading coaches, instructors there as well.
So who's the owner of Precision?
So Shawn definitely put more into the school. His name's on everything. So definitely Shawn. We run it together.
And what's really interesting about Precision also is that it's a purely no-gi school, correct?
There's a few MMA schools, but when it comes to jiu-jitsu, it's the only no-gi jiu-jitsu school in the area.
Were you there since the very beginning, the inception of the academy?
Oh, yeah. So me and Shawn, there was another school we were training at called Aqueous. It's in Bedford, New Hampshire. And we were training there. And I was telling Shawn, I was like, hey, dude, we should just make our own school. We have the tools. We could do it. And it took him a little bit to agree to it. And he was running, he does woodworking on the side. And he had a shop. So at the time, we turned his shop into the gym. And we got some mats. I was able to grab some wall mats from Fanatics. We set up the gym, and we set up the gym out of his woodworking shop. That's how it started. And we just built some students from there, built a small base, and then we moved to Hudson.
This is kind of wild because typically someone will open a school, perhaps in an existing yoga place or gym or gymnasium on the side, maybe an MMA place that doesn't have jiu-jitsu, and then they'll open up in the same town somewhere else, nearby, because they have their existing base of students. You guys opted to leave the town, right, and go to a new place?
100%. So one thing, when I was blue belt, I was talking to Bernardo, and I was talking to him. We were talking to him about his school, and I was like, "What made you choose, Bedford, Mass? Like, why Bedford, Mass?" He was telling me his reasons and stuff, and I was like, "That's interesting reasons." But one of the things he said was, "Honestly, it doesn't matter where you open up, as long as you know your jujitsu is good, you're gonna be fine." We're pretty confident in our jujitsu, especially in the New England area. We were pretty confident we could move anywhere we kind of wanted.
Additionally, it's interesting because I was looking at the town you guys are in, and it's not the biggest population in the world either there. And so, I mean, it's like you guys were really picking from a kind of a smaller size pool, which could make things even more challenging establishing, an academy.
Oh, 100%. And the great thing about it, though, is so we have Sunday open mats. A lot of our students, half of them aren't even from our area. A lot of our students, they're either gi guys, guys who go to a school with both gi and no gi that want to come over and, want more no gi, or they're guys that compete just from different parts of the area. Like we have one guy that drives like an hour at least just to get to us, and it's a trooper. He lives in Mass. He lives in the deep Mass, but he wants to compete in nogi, and he's come in and he goes, I came in. We have Sunday open mats, and they're pretty big. Everybody around will come. It's usually filled with just tons of competitors. It's almost like a little grappling industries itself. But it's every Sunday we have tons of people from different schools. They come in, and a lot of the times when those guys will come in on a Sunday, they'll be like, "Man, I haven't gotten beat up like that in a while," and they they'll just keep coming back, and they're just like, "I want to compete." Guys who want to compete, they just come and train. An hour is nothing for guys that used to drive 4 3 hours to New York when John was here and stuff back in the day. So people want it, they'll do it.
I was looking at the pictures of Precision, the IG, and the webpage itself. So it looks like you guys have some killers there for sure. Some strong looking, kind of younger demographic dudes. It sounds like you have an emphasis on competition as well. But I did notice in your schedule, you have a kids program also, correct? Is that Nogi also?
Yes, it is nogi, and don't see a lot of nogi kids programs, which is a little weird. It's mostly, but at least over here in the East Coast, I'm sure there is their nogi kids classes, maybe, but I don't really see it much. I run the kids program at Precision as well. Yeah, it's just all nogi everything.
That's so cool. So why don't you tell me, what is the culture of Precision, and, tell me all about Precision.
So we just want to bring everybody together. A lot of academies, they're very separated. Let's just go Austin and just go, B team, 10P, Roca, you know what I mean? All these different schools, over here, let's just say BTT, us, Gracie Baja, whatever, just different academies and stuff. There's a lot of good people in New England, but the New England level, it's not as high as if you were to go to Austin. I think if you go to Austin, everyone there you roll with is pretty decent. But I can roll with some guys around here and be like, oh, you don't exactly feel like a blue belt or a purple belt or anything like that. It's like something's off. That's another reason why we started the school, is because there's guys that are very confident at their level. And they put the time in, and I'm not taking that credit away from them, but it's what were you learning that whole time? Like it's like they'll be like, oh, you're training for 6 years. Oh my goodness, that's nuts. It's like, not really though. Like I think this is how I should be at 6 years of training. I remember one time I trained with Ethan Krellingston, and he mopped me, like just mopped me. And not that I wasn't used to it. I just thought I would do better. And he was like, well, I would hope I'd destroy you. I'd been training for this long. And it wasn't even like it was like, I don't know. Like, I think he said like 10 or 11 years or something at the time. That's 10 years of training. But I remember I was a white belt. I would do very well against other upper belts. And they'd be like, oh, you're a prodigy or whatever. You're really good. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just, I don't. Something didn't seem right. So that's another reason why Shawn and I wanted to start the school, was to set our own bar, and just raise it as well. But we just want to bring everybody together. If you come to me and you say, "Oh, I haven't, been controlled like that in a while," it's like, okay, well, let me teach you what to do so it doesn't happen again. There's a YouTube video where Travis Stevens, he talks about all the best judo guys. They may be competing one day, but then the next day they're all in the same room because they're aware that those are the best guys in the room. Those are the best guys that they're sharing goals. So we're gonna train together. So Shawn and I just believe that we wanna build a place where if you want to be a good competitor, or you just want to be able to walk into any other room in the world, essentially, and nobody's going to question your rank. No one's going to be like, oh, yeah, I don't know if you're a blue belt, or I don't know. But if anything, they're going to say like, oh, I think you should be this belt or anything or something like we want people to have like a real confidence, and people not doubt themselves. They go into another room and, they get beat by somebody. If they get beat by somebody, it's because that person, they do that for a job or something like that. Or, you know what I mean? We want to build the best guys that we can. We want everybody to have the best ability that they can get to. But that just involves everybody coming together and being welcomed into a room where, like, cross training, sometimes people get a little upset by that. Cross train, if you learn something, come back, come teach me. Like, you get better, I get better. I get better, you get better. We just want to elevate everybody. We want to elevate ourselves. And the way to do that is to just have a room where everyone's invited to come train. We have an open mat every day. We do have a big one on Sunday, but we have open mat every night after training, for anyone that wants to come train. You're more than come train, whether you want to test yourself or you want to see where you are or anything like that. Like, just come train. We're always open for visitors and stuff like that.
I feel like we're at this point now where we're dealing with the results of decades of IBJJF training and tournaments, and especially the gi dominant type of experience, and how so many academies now are sort of split, into this half gi, half no gi, teaching and training IBJJF versus like an ADCC or something else, EBI type of training environment, or a no gi training environment. And I don't know that everyone has fully grasped yet how different gi and no gi the games have separated. And so it just feels like, you're describing this person that you may run into where you're like questioning. And I wonder in the back of my head, like, some of those guys, maybe they've come from those type of backgrounds where, they have years of gi/no gi, if even any type of experience, and they feel very different. But it seems like you guys are running a smart path, focusing on strictly no gi, single-minded approach, also evolving, as the game evolves, keeping up with the game, and yourself having that front row view.
I still enjoy dabbling in the gi sometimes. We don't teach it, but if, let's say, somebody came in, one of my students walked in and they said, "Hey, would you do some gi with me today?" And, like, during the open mat, I'd be like, "Sure, I'll do some gi with you." But to me, gi is more of a like going outside and playing, like, basketball with my daughter or something. Like, I'm just having fun. I remember I visited some school down in Boston. It was right when I first got my brown belt. Because I was like, I stopped actually training in the gi as a purple belt. I competed as a purple belt, and then after I competed, I did an absolute. I did my division. I actually was up in California in your way, and I competed there. And I was like, all right, well, I'm a purple belt. I competed in the purple belt. I did fine. I'm probably not going to do this again. So I'll still do, for fun. But like I said, so I went to visit this academy, and I was training with the guy, and I was having a ball. I was having so much fun. I was taking out his lapels. I was like, oh, I have grips now. Like, oh, like, I was just doing a whole bunch of stuff that I went to do. So, worm guard, all that stuff. And I subbed the guy a few times. He was a black belt. And then I was wrapping him up again. And then I was smiling. And then I remember I looked up at him and I looked up at his face and I was like, oh, this guy's angry. I was like, oh, this is like serious for him. And I was like, all right, like, I'm going to, like, switch up my level of intensity to match him a little bit. So, like, just to put some respect on it. But I was like, it's not that serious. Even so, like, jujitsu doesn't pay very crazy. There's one guy that's able to, maybe one or two that are able to make a serious actual living off of this. And it's still not as big as we're trying to make it. But I think no-gi is very important. I think it teaches people how to actually control the person rather than the material. I think it's valuable. Not that I'm not saying, it has more benefits than gi does, but I just think that it translates very easily to gi rather than a gi game translating to the no gi game, especially if it's heavy lapel oriented. I feel like, that you could run into some issues there. If you kind of throw a no gi guy into a gi, he's just not going to know how to play the grip game or keep his head postured or something like that. It's just something you'll have to teach. But, like, new wrestlers do very well when they start training the gis. I think no gi itself is very beneficial, regardless of what you're doing, what you're using it for.
Now, in terms of your instruction, when are you introducing the leg game?
I introduce it immediately. I've had students come in on their first day and I'm showing you in a straight ankle lock. Not a heel hook on their first day, but I'm huge into knowing what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, you're going to be fine. The most of the time, it's the people. You have to check the attitude and check people. You have to really install the people that you need to learn to lose. It's okay if other people escape your submissions. Here we're here to learn. In the comps, you can act this way. You can be stubborn about your submissions, but in training, it's okay to lose. So that's one thing that I myself pretty much talk to my students every day. Hey, I want you guys to try to lose today. If you haven't tapped in a while, well, that means you're training wrong. You need to start tapping because you should be losing here because we have a comp coming up. If you go out there and they put you in something that you've never been in, well, that's because you're not training correctly. I am definitely into showing everybody overall game of jiu-jitsu, not hiding it until, they're ready or anything. It's like, no, this is what we're doing. This is how to do it.
I was wondering about that because I got the vibe that it sounded like you guys were just going like all the time. It sounds like a tournament every time. Was the sort of vibe I was picking up on what you were saying. Like we just go hard and that's it. And
We definitely have the hard days. We have, like I said, we have guys that they want to make this their life. And this is something that, I also talk to my students about is making sure you have your days of hard training. You also have your days of drilling or rest because if you can't hard train if you feel like crap, essentially. So you have to be smart. Like we'll still have our game plans and what we're going to be doing every day, our scheduling and everything. But I always just tell them, you don't have to go hard today. Like, if you want to go hard, that's on you. But if you also want to drill, like we can drill. So it is a place where yes, you can definitely go hard, but it is a place as well where if you want to drill, you can drill. One thing that's been really cool, honestly, is the amount of girls we have at our gym. So like we've been opened in the Hudson since August and especially in the no gi settings, we have like about almost I'd say 8 to 10 girls. And I was like very impressed by that. I think no gi is a little more intimidating than the gi for the pure fact that in the gi, I'm not actually touching you. I'm touching your clothes. You're a new girl, you kind of have to get over the fact quick that you're going to get touched. It's definitely I can see how an all no-gi school for women would be very intimidating, but we just like in the past few months, honestly, we've had a crazy fluctuation of women come in and like stay, and we have a very good group of good competitors. Honestly, they're women that want to compete. It's a mix between of women that want to compete and women that are already competitors. So it's been great having them at the gym recently.
are you emphasizing any sort of like additional instructions to your male students or whatever in terms or maybe heavier students? How's your role with those type of people or do you just get in it and mix it and whatever you're comfortable with? Cool. If not, then cool.
When it comes to our bigger students, I'm constantly saying be smart about your training. If you're 220 and your opponent's a small female, she's 120, she should be on your back attacking you. She should be attacking your arms, your legs, your neck. You should pretty much be trying to survive. And I tell them every role, you're going to handle it differently. If you're going to get somebody you're clearly stronger than, well, then let's work on our technique. Let's work on our angles. What I like to do with people is, especially for like this exact example, I have a big guy and he's about 6'4", he's 220, and he was rolling with one of our smaller females. And I told him, I said, hey, you can obviously 2-on-1, not even 2-on-1, just hold her wrist and stop her. But right now you're going to work like you're in trouble. You don't have that ability because he's going to have that rear naked choke on, and you're going to just, move your neck, use your angles. If you get subbed, you get subbed because there's going to be times when you're not going to have this physical ability over these people. So this is your time right here against this person to practice this skill set. So I just make sure that that's a huge thing I talk to my students about is know your training partner. Like look at your training partner. All right, this person is significantly bigger than me. So I don't want them on top of me, but let's say they do get on top of me. All right, let's practice deep chest on chest escapes or deep pin escapes or something. Or you do get on top of them. Let's practice not letting them get up. something like that. So we change our training depending on our training partner, and it's just training smarter. It's not that you necessarily have to go, crazy balls to the walls or anything, but I've always found is when you lose, you learn. And as a cliche as that sounds, but you lose in the training room so you don't lose out in competition.
Yeah, working with smaller people, lighter people, late stage defense stuff is fantastic to work on as an opportunity for yourself. And also the emphasizing, I've been hearing people say, and I think this is great, that they emphasize within their gyms or their academies, is that we're training partners. We're not competing against each other. We're not competitors. We're training partners. Do you emphasize that?
Oh yeah. It's like this is what's gonna these are the guys that are gonna make you better. Yes, 100%.
Otherwise, you do get to that win mentality. I got to win. I got to win.
People get scared of you. You do yourself a disservice as well when you just have to beat everybody. Like you don't have to beat everybody. It's okay to lose. It's okay because let's say you beat everybody in the gym. You go out there, you compete, you lose. Well, we're training to go out there and compete to win. If you're training in here and beating everybody, you're losing out there in competition. Something you're doing is wrong, and you got to look at yourself at that point.
So I just saw Alex, who's a brown belt, tap to, Joe over here, who's a purple belt. Can you believe that?
Yeah, no, that never happens. I tap to everybody. I mean, at least with me, people know that if they tap me, it's not that big a deal. I'm very friendly with my roles, whether you compete or you're a hobbyist. I'm very aware of myself and I understand that I run a gym and I have to teach class and I don't have anything scheduled to come up, so I don't need to try to kill you right now. And if you want to try to kill me, go for it. If you get it, good for you, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like you're going to get a sponsor from subbing me at Thursday night class. So it's nothing crazy. It's, like I said, it's train smart. I just try to make sure. And the way to do that, I think, is by leading by example. I can't tell people to train smart.
Is there room for the guy, let's say, or gal, if I sit down at a desk all day, I'm working on a spreadsheet and I want to learn a little jujitsu, can I come into your academy and not get murdered?
We have a lot of engineers at our school. And one of my favorites, his name's Donovan. He's a good guy, but no, that's his job. He sits at a desk. We also have another guy I work with, see him every morning, but he also just sits at his desk all day. And I told him, I was like, it was a snow day 3 days ago. It was pretty bad, blizzard. And I was like, what did you do all day? And he's like, I did absolutely nothing. He's like, I just sat for 8 hours, watched jiu-jitsu videos, and came here. I was like, well, that's great. Our goals, whether you want to compete or not, we want you to be confident. I allow people to choose their partners 100%, but most of the time, I'll start off each round before the open mat starts. I usually start off the rounds by choosing everyone's partner, so I can kind of set the momentum for the rest of the day for everybody. So when people start get confident, they choose who they want to roll with. I always tell people, hey, if you don't want to roll with that person, say no. That's not your fault. They're jacked and huge. Like you're new. I'll walk up to people, be like, dude, that guy just started. Like teach them. And everyone's always been so cool about it. Everybody understands what we're trying to do. We've never had any issue. We've had like some guys try to come in on like some open mats and just try to go head hunting for me and Shawn, but it's always been fine. Nothing ever has ever occurred. We always just try to get people to come back. We never try to hurt people or want to hurt people. And no one ever really does get hurt. I'd say the worst injury, somebody actually hurt themselves. They came over and they tried to put somebody in a footlock, and the person didn't realize. Well, they were trying so hard to footlock somebody that they broke their own arm. He didn't even realize he broke his arm. He was like, "Are you okay?" Like he's like, "I heard a pop," and he's like, "That wasn't me." And then he just at his arm. He's like, "Oh, like so." That particular incident was one of those Sundays open mats where people will just come in because, like I said, it's Sundays open mats is great. We have visitors from everywhere. We had a guy come in from England. Oh, it was really great. But no, it's been great just trying to get everybody in and just training.
Very cool. Let's talk about your curriculum and curriculum development. I assume you and Shawn put your heads together and came up with this, right? Do you have a curriculum and how'd you develop it? What's it look like?
I'll probably have to take you back all the way to the very first day of Precision. Let's say we had our brand new group of guys, I'd say 3 guys that knew absolutely nothing, maybe some wrestling. Wrestling, everybody kind of has an idea of how to do it, but they don't really know what to do. They kind of know they're supposed to tackle you some way and get you to the ground, but they just, you know what I mean? We do it differently. So Shawn runs, I'd say he teaches a lot more wrestling than I do. We split our days in the jiu-jitsu in the throughout the week. So he'll teach one day, I'll teach another. He'll teach one day, I'll teach another. And he teaches more of a passing wrestling style. I teach more guard and just playing from your back, honestly. That's just been because how even when I started first training with Shawn, me and Shawn have been working together for a while, and just we work with each other through COVID, just him and I, and he's got a few pounds on me. He fluctuates between 185, 195, and I'm smaller than him, so I've never been able to out wrestle him or physically dominate him. Sometimes I can catch him off a sweep or something, but if he wants to actually be strong, it's very difficult. I've had to develop my game in the complete opposite sense, as in develop my guard retention, develop my leg locks, my arm attacks, chokes from the bottom up. So when it comes to teaching, we've always split. He teaches top, not that he always sticks to top, but he'll teach top and passing. I'll teach guard, leg locks, sweeps, anything that has to do with the bottom position. We switch between the two. Sometimes he'll teach some guard, and I'll teach wrestling. But if I'm teaching, let's say, shoulder crunches on Monday, he's not going to teach what we do after the shoulder crunch on Tuesday. He'll probably teach something else from top on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, I'm going to follow up with what I was teaching on Monday. And then the same with what he was doing as well.
Do you guys have like an established curriculum though, or that you're going through?
It's been a little different. We tried like a little established curriculum, but then the students changed. Students leave, we had more students come, so then we couldn't teach these students what we were teaching these students anymore. It wouldn't even make sense. So we just decided that we have an idea of what we want to do throughout the month, but we're going to change it, variate it on the students in that class that night. Especially comps coming up. If people have comps, we're gonna tweak things around as well. But for the most part, like we do have an idea of what we're gonna teach for the month. But if we know 3 guys and 3 guys came in tonight and they're all horrible at solidifying a pin, okay, that whatever we thought we're gonna wait, it can wait. We're just gonna work on this and what people need for that class. So we kind of work on what the students need instead of focusing on a chain or web. There's no point in going on if you don't understand what just happened. You need to have a good idea of some fundamentals before we move on. And I won't wait too long. Like you have like 2 days to get your shit together. But I won't be. I'm not one of those guys that's like, all right, we're spending a week on finishing mechanics for a darce. Like that's not me at all. Like whether I choked you or you cranked, you tapped.
You guys aren't doing eco or anything like that, it sounds like, right?
So it eh, we
Your
dabble with
thoughts on eco?
my thoughts on it. It's great. It's great for students to have that know what they're doing. Not, let's just say not even know a small understanding of it. Well, I'm sure people have done their thing where they built students that have no drilling, but you kind of are drilling if you're playing the game over and over and over again. Like whether you want to call it drilling or not, you're going through the motion over and over again. So you're just disguising it with a game, but you're drilling. So you practice the movement. From what I know, drilling is practicing a movement. So you're drilling. So whether it's just me showing you a game or showing you why I'm doing it, you're drilling. So I've always thought it's a little silly. They both work, but ultimately you're drilling. I do think it is important to know why you're doing things. there is a when and a why to do a move. Like when you do something, I'm not doing something in a particular fashion because it looks cool. I'm doing it because this is how I'm going to get the most efficient movement or something. So there is a why to movements. And I think it's important to know that in playing games, it is great, but it's some, you have to at some point tell me why, whether people want to say, oh, ecological or drilling. Well, you're drilling. You're just playing a game, but you're still drilling. So it's good stuff, but I do use it, but I always tell people it's a drill.
We brought up BJJ Fanatics in the beginning. Can you talk about like, what you do at BJJ Fanatics? How did that all come about? Your relationship with them?
So I've been working with Fanatics for 5 years now, going on six. I started with back because I had some matches right when I became a blue belt. I had a match with Plato. He is John Doniker's uke. So I had a match with him at a local event in Massachusetts. And that's how I met him, right? So we started training with each other after that. And then he introduced me to a guy named Sammy. And Sammy, he moved down to Panama. But so Sammy, I do some training with him over at this school in Beverly, Mass called Collective BJJ. Nate Morrison, he runs that school as well. So we would do some training, and then one day he called me and he goes, like, you compete, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, so there's a match coming up. He was supposed to fight Placido, but his opponent dropped out. So he goes, do you want to fight me? And I already knew it was going to be super tough because, we've had some training sessions together. Oh, I was like, sure. So we fought. We did gi. We did an Ironman. So it was gi and no gi. So it was best 2 out of 3. So after that, we just kept training with each other constantly and constantly. And then he gave me a call and he's like, hey, we need some help over at Fanatics. Would you be able to come bring your gi and be an uke, like a dummy? And I was like, sure. He's like, we'll pay you too. And I was like, you'll pay me? I was like, dude, I'll do this for free. Like, watch Fanatics. Like, I'll do this for free. And he's like, yeah. So I came there. I did my first job was with John Gouda. I did his instructional. A week later, he gave me another call and he goes, hey, you want to come back and do another instructional except for Giancarlo Bodini? And I was like, sure, except this was funny. This was funny. This was before Giancarlo blew up. He was a brown belt at the time. I was like, sure. So I came in and I did his instructionals, and his ended up being like, it was like 3 days in a row. So I cleared my schedule for the next 3 days. I came there, and he would call me every 2 weeks or so, I'd say. And it's good money per session. And I was like, dude, should I just quit my job? And he's like, not yet. He's like, you're like in the what is it called when you're not getting paid for something
Like an internship or
like
something?
intern. Yeah. He's like, you're like an internship for this. And I'm like, okay. I was like, so not yet. So I did it for like another month, and he goes, you can quit your job now. So I've just been getting constant work from them ever since, and that's how I started Addicts, was competing and just training with the guys there, and then just staying close with them. And then yeah, I met Zanga, I met Bernardo, and then that's just everything took off from there.
Wow. Wow. So you really enjoy it and everything, obviously, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I loved it. Like I said, when he called me, I was like, dude, I'll do this for free. Like you're gonna pay. I get to learn for free. Like,
Wow. So you are learning then while you're doing
oh
this
yeah,
too, huh?
oh yeah. When I'm with the uke, when I'm actually doing the uke work, I get to feel the technique, and I get to feel how things are done behind the camera and doing the videography. I get to watch it.
So it's like having a private plus more, right? With the elite of the elite.
Yeah, and I will say sometimes it's not the best. Like shout out to my boy Henry Akins. He's a phenomenal jiu-jitsu practitioner, but his weight distribution is unreal.
So it's true.
Yeah, he has an instructional all on weight distribution, and I thought I was gonna throw up the whole time. The Hickson Gracie pressure it's a real thing.
So I want to ask you about like your game and your particular style. What is your style?
My style is finish the match as fast as possible. It's cool doing all the wrestling, but ultimately we're not wrestling. We're doing jujitsu. I like what Mikey Musumeci says about our goal is to just finish the guy. We're doing sport jujitsu. I think a lot of ego gets into the way of things. Yes, rule set plays a part of it and what you want to do, but you can manipulate the rule set in your favor and in any rule set, whether you think it's boring or fair. Well, I got the win. Also, I mean, when it comes down to it, I just pull guard. I will wrestle, but I'd rather just pull guard, get the finish, move on to the next guy. Save my energy if I have to. Like I said, when it comes to down to the rule set and I have to wrestle, I prepared myself for it, but I don't have to. So I'm going to keep that tucked away for now. Although I do pull guard, don't get me wrong, but if you just assume I pull guard and I don't, it's going to shake you up, not me. I'm very confident in my passing and my top game. I'd say during training, that's mostly what I do. So when it comes down to comp, I'm ready for it. It's not something I've never seen. But my game in comp is to just sit and get that quick finish.
Now, can you share with us like an aha moment that you've had?
One of my good buddies is Jeff Glover. We talk a lot. And a few times this last part, I went into Vegas for West Coast Trials. And I stayed with him and we were just talking to me about his guard. And he was like, just don't let these guys touch your head. He's like, that's simple. He's like, you don't want someone to pass you. Just don't let them touch your head. And I like just sat there and I'm like, oh, you're right. Like they have to touch my upper body somehow. And I was like, that makes so much sense. And I was like, yeah, he's like, just go in. He's like, and if they're going to touch your head, go deep half, fool. Go, dive in, go deep half. I was like, oh, you're right. Like, so that's how I learned how to use deep half because I was never actually sure how to use it in the no gi, but I knew you could do it. So I was like, oh, that's when you use it. I was like, oh, so I'd say, just the conversations I've had with the athletes, not even talking about their instructional or about how to do anything. It's just when they talk to me about jujitsu itself, they'll just drop a concept that's just mind blowing.
Can you tell me a time that you ever considered quitting and why?
Yeah, definitely. So only one time I'd say I really thought about quitting. Or I was mentioning before during COVID, it was just Shawn and I. A few things about Shawn is he's been training for 15 years. So I've been training for 6 years. He's been training for 15 years. He's got like 30 pounds on me. There's just nothing in this view where I'm winning. There's nothing.
Size matters.
Yeah, it
People,
does.
all things being equal or not, size really matters.
It really does. It really does. So during COVID, I was only, 2.5 years of actual training of jujitsu. And I was, training with a guy that was just, he could do whatever he wanted to me. And, when you train jujitsu and you're training with someone so much better than you, it's like they're in your head. There's nothing you can do. Nothing works. It's like, so we would train about, 2 times a day and the sessions were grueling. Like, we didn't use a clock. The way we've always trained was strict rounds. We would just go slap and bump and we would just go at it. Sometimes like towards the end, we would start going over some technique and what we noticed during the rolls and stuff like that. But it was never, let's drill this first. What do you want to drill? All right, let's roll. It was never like that. We just slapped and bumped and then just went at it. And we would do this 1, 2 times a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I was just like, got to a point where I remember one time I was in the shower and I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm literally just a living dummy. I'm going to this person's house and I'm getting mauled. Absolutely mauled. I was like, I can't. And it's funny because during the time we would record a lot too. And it's like, I don't even get to forget it when it's over because I get to watch it back during the highlight video that gets posted on this. So I remember I was like, what am I doing? My body hurts. I was like, like I'm 30 right now. And I was like, I don't know how much of this I can take, and this was in 2019. This was pretty early in my jiu-jitsu. I didn't know anything, but I didn't give up, and I thought about it. I was telling you, I had that mindset of like, I cannot fail. I have my two kids. I don't know what I'm going to do if I do fail. And I've already spoke this out into existence, and I cannot like go back. So I was just like, like, this is what I asked for. And there was one time where I was seriously doubting myself. I was like, oh, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. And then one time he went to like a fishing trip with his wife, and I had no one to train with. And I was like, oh, I miss him. I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, even though I got decimated every time, I was like, I miss my buddy. Like, I have no one to train with. I was like, I miss this feeling. Like, I want to train. For whether I'm gonna lose or win, I want to train. And no, I knew this was what I wanted. I was just super upset about, I wasn't seeing improvement. I was just going to this place because we weren't really going over technique. I was just going there training. I wasn't seeing improvement, but afterwards, when like COVID was over, I looked back at these videos and I was watching them, and the very first one, every single time, like 1 second, he would touch me, sub, 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 sub. And then by the end of the videos, towards the end, I was subbing him, and the transformation between the two videos completely different. And that's where I realized I got very good fast by training with this kid and by losing all the time. When COVID ended and I started to compete with everybody again and would touch different bodies, it wasn't like I was in COVID. Like, I wasn't touching this 190-pound teapot anymore. Like, I was touching normal people, and I was like, "Oh, you're easier. Like, you're easy." Like, and just the difference was just insane. And I'll compete against people. I'm like, you're not this person. Like, I can deal with you. Just dealing with that was probably the worst part. But that was just an ego problem. I just wanted to win. I didn't want to experience constant loss. But it was just an ego prod. Once I just got past it, I was like, I'd rather just lose and be here and be a part of it than not be a part of it at all. Everything changed for me.
Advice for those people that aren't seeing improvement, those people that are plateauing.
So I don't think people ever plateau. I think if they feel like they're plateauing, they just need to switch their training around. That means you need to train different. That's all that means. I don't think it comes to a point where whether it's jujitsu or life, you're going to stop growing. It's not possible, I don't think. I think if you're new or something, take little goals. You don't have to win. You don't, like, let's say you want to win your round, but that may be good and all, but you're new. Let's keep it real for you. Instead of trying to win the round, let's just not let this guy pass on your left hip. Like, let's make these small goals. Let's force him to make you to go to your right hip. Oh, that's where he passed you to your right. Perfect. He didn't do your left. That's a win for you. Right? So if you just see yourself taking with these different paths instead of just focusing on trying to win all the time, that's how you're going to improve. Is you focus on yourself in little micro aspects of your games. That's going to cause improvement. They always talk about micro battles. Then we'll work them. A lot of people don't. They might work, let's say, a back take, right? But work a back take with one hook in, or like work a back take with like one arm stapled, you know what I mean? Like, challenge yourself or make it easier for yourself. Like, you can always improve your game. I think it just comes on just changing your game and having a different perspective on what you're trying to do.
Can you give me like a fondest non-jujitsu childhood memory?
So I actually my grandfather, when I used to live in Ajo, Arizona, in the desert. And my grandfather, when I was super young, would put me on his lap, and he would just slam on the gas, and he would just be like, drive. And he would let me just take the wheel and just send it. And it was so much fun. And that's probably honestly one of my earliest memories as well. But just driving in the desert with him, trying not to hit any cactus or cacti, however you want to say it, was probably one of my fondest, most fun memories I can think about.
It just reminds me of like your attitude of like opening a gym. You're that kid that's just going for it no matter what, just moving forward. and hauling ass, and there's no room for failure. What makes a great student?
I think what makes a great student is a student that's wants to learn and that is open minded to learning. Students will come differently to me. Some students they want to learn jujitsu. Some students they start asking me like more life questions, more personal, like almost like they're looking for like either a father figure. So I just think when a student actually wants to learn and grow, when they're willing to lose, when I see that they're willing to, and that's a huge thing is losing. And as easy as it sounds, people don't want to do it.
No, that's very difficult for a lot of people. As you mentioned, it seems to be a recurring theme throughout the show, and part of your messaging is the importance of failure.
It's huge. You need to know what went wrong and why. Yeah, or else you won't fix it. And as somebody that's made tons of mistakes, and out of jujitsu, whether it's relationship, life, decision making, tons of mistakes. I failed a lot, and I think there are two types of people that experience failure. They say okay it happened, but they don't change, and that's not a good student. And that's what I mean is one that's willing to be open-minded and make that change and lose and understand why. But then there's the other student that loses, and they accept it and they change for the better, and it doesn't happen again. You just have to be able to want to change and want to be better. As much as, like I said, I think a lot of people, they get to a certain level, they start winning and it's exciting. You went from losing all the time to winning. But if I want to, I have an ability to beat anybody in my gym, but it doesn't benefit anybody. It won't benefit, anybody. And understanding that, you're not the best right now. You may feel like it, but when it comes down to it, if you want to be the best at what you're doing, you have to go compete for it, and until you're up there and until you're doing it, you got a lot of work to do.
So then let's say, conversely, what makes a great instructor?
I'm not exactly sure what makes a great instructor because there's great instructors that are crappy people. It varies. I would say personally, to me, what makes a great instructor is an instructor that's just willing to give you everything. And when it comes to a lot of my students, I try to answer questions the best I can. I try to give them extra work after. I try to stay with them, focus on them. I think what makes a great instructor is your ability to focus in and hone in on everybody in the room and make sure that not only can, your star athlete hit a nice berimbolo off of a leg lock, but, I want that guy from, that desk job to be able to do that same thing just as effective. Being able to coach people on everybody's a different learner is figuring that out, how to coach people. They say some schools, they'll be like, oh, that guy's not for you. And it's true. Some schools aren't for certain people, and that's just the environment, I would say, the culture of the school that's, been brought there of why they're saying that. But I try to watch my students and see what they're good at, see what they're not good at. And my job is to make them a better jujitsu practitioner. And I think it's just your ability to just make sure not only are you individually making sure everybody's growing, but at the same time, everybody in the room is growing with that person. Let's say an example, somebody they've been training for, 4 years, they can sub everybody, but they still haven't gotten their blue belt yet or whatever. Or this person came in and they've been here for so long that they are about to get their blue belt but they're still getting smashed by everybody. I'm huge into skill development. If I see that you're still getting smashed, I think that's my fault. I'm not doing something right. That's why, when it comes to the program, the scheduling, yes, I have an idea of what I do, but I want to make sure you're still growing. So if you are having trouble, we're all waiting because we're all growing. We're a team. And if we win as a team, we lose a team. And everything's been good. Everybody helps out. It's very rarely that we even have a student that doesn't understand a move because everybody is just so open into helping. And one student in particular, no athletic bone in her body. Nothing. Like I was surprised she even stood around for jujitsu. But she can berimbolo somebody, and she can straight ankle someone, and she can do some pretty cool moves. And she's hasn't been training for longer than 6 months. So, that's not even just me. That's me and installing everybody, hey, this is your teammate. We got to help them. Yes, it's you out there competing, but these are your teammates that are in here helping you get better. So you're as weak as the weakest person in the room. And if that person's not weak, we cannot be weak. I think just making sure you're there available for everybody, making sure everybody's growing is, what a good instructor should do.
So, Alex, tell me about your instructional.
I have two instructionals actually. The second one will be released in a few months. So this first one is on entries from a opponent standing. So if you're in your seated guard or whatever, but your opponent is standing above you, so not on two knees, not in the commando stance, anything like that. Just standing, trying to, side to side misdirection, split squat, anything like that. How you would see most people attack the legs as well from the top. So it's just entering the legs from a standing position, and it's a little bit of a mix because yes, I do have some leg entries, but I also have a few arm attacks and chokes in the instructional because the reason why my leg locks work is because I'm attacking your upper body as well. I'm getting that action reaction. So more like I said, most of the time I sit and pull guard. If you have a match against me and you know who I am, then you know I'm going to sit and pull guard. And I know that. I know you know that. So if I start attacking your upper body, that's going to expose your legs to me. And I can't fake attack your upper body. These have to be real attacks. So, in my instructional, I'm also showing some upper body attacks and how I chain them with my lower body attacks. And that's the same with my second instructional that's coming out. That one's on leg locks from a kneeling or a sitting opponent. So dealing with opponents from two knees or anything like that, those guys that are really like defensive or cagey, and how to deal with those guys. And as well as that, I have a lot of upper body attacks as well to chain into the lower body.
Awesome. And then should we just wait on the next one, or do you want to describe it?
The second one, it's pretty close, similar to the first one, just I'd say a lot more leg attacks to the neck because since your head's lower, right? So since your head's lower, that means conceptually my legs, it's closer to your face. So I have a lot more of triangle chokes from opponent on two knees. So that's the second one, is just dealing with that, is when like opponents on two knees, they're just trying to be super cagey, or the commando stance where they have one knee up and one leg down and they're playing that. Also, I have finishing mechanics in the second one as well. I have some in the first one, but I have some finishing mechanics. Just they go a little deeper into details. I talk a lot about the outside heel hook. I think a lot of people, they mess that up. They try to twist the leg. Which, I guess that's what we're doing, but we need to, I just talk a lot about in the second instructional about making sure we do like a counter rotation. So when I'm finishing the outside heel hook, rotating with my lower body the opposite at side that I'm rotating with my upper body.
Everyone, I'm your host, Adolfo Ferranda. Thanks for watching and listening out there. Alex, where can we get more information about you and everything that you're up to?
So you can find me on Instagram at AlexWestBJJ, or the Instagram at Precision Jiu-Jitsu. You can find what Shawn and I are up to, and classes, seminars, all that stuff. Yeah, that's how to reach me.
Awesome. All right, everyone, we will add all those show notes in the description. Thanks so much for watching and listening out there, everyone. Share it with a friend. It really helps the show. Give us a thumbs up and the nice comments and everything. It helps with the algorithm. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for your time, Alex.
Thank you for having me.